Are you an overthinker? And I'm just going to say, before you even say no, I'm going to call you BS on that. That belief system.
That's
so,
belief
Moira,
system,
yeah, are you an overthinker? And oh my God, I don't want to talk about it. What do you want to talk about? What are you going to say? They're going to like you more than me today?
Oh, maybe. Oh no, they would never like me more than you. Surely, maybe.
Well, they might. Oh my
Right.
God. And this is how easy your mind can go.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Do. Poor Moira.
I love how Deb intros these. We get a wee sing-song happening.
Yes, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and children, and aliens or anything. Hello. Welcome to Deliciously Motivated Mindset with Debz and Moira. And just so you know, everybody, I'm Debz. I am that one. And Moira's the grounding, soundful,
Calming,
soulful. Yeah.
Soft.
Yeah, that's it. I'm the snorter and she's not, just so you know. So today's topic, oh my gosh, this is a goodie. It's thrown me right out. So, but first, before we get into anything, thank you for joining. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do.
We do. We enjoy these.
Having these times with everyone who wants to listen to us.
With people. And if you're not listening, there's clearly a problem. And if you're not sharing our messages, you're clearly a problem. So I'll just throw that out there right now. Yeah, that's it. If you're not asking us questions, there's clearly a problem. It's yours, not mine. But first, I'm going to, before I start prattling on, I'm going to ask people to rate RATE themselves on a scale of 1 to 10. And rating comes from where you're sitting emotionally, where whatever's going on in your world, with how you feel. And 10, which is a number 9, between 9 and 11, is where you're sitting. And that is when you're in a complete pickle. You're in chaos, you're frustrated, you've got the white knuckle, the room's spinning, you feel you're not grounded, you're out of sync, you're out of balance.
Stuck and freaking out.
Yeah, that's the one. And that's a 10. And then 0 is where you are zero zenned out. Yeah. We talked about that. Zero zenned out. Yeah, that's
zero zenned out.
Yeah. And yeah, that's neutral, balanced, zenned out.
Mm-hmm.
And we rate ourselves at the start of the call, and then we rate ourselves at the end of the call and see if there's been a shift in your mind and your body while we've been talking.
Mm-hmm.
And we also encourage people to do this through, in their day as well.
Yeah.
Because it just helps you regulate where you are and what's going on in your world.
Absolutely.
Would be the nicest way of putting it, I think.
Yeah. Self-management tool.
Self-management tool.
Yeah.
So, Moira.
Yes, me dear.
What number are you at this? Well, actually, I'm going to ask Moira, what number are you on the topic? And then what number are you in life right now as we talk?
Okay. So where I'm at right now, I would say I'm a 0. But about
Yeah.
this topic, and this is funny, because as you were doing the intro, I'm thinking, am I a 2 or a 3? Or maybe I'm a 4. Maybe I'm a 1.
Oh, and everybody knows what the topic is
Yes,
already.
so it's like,
So just for the record, that makes 2 of us, because I was like, God, what number am I? Maybe I'm that, maybe I'm that, maybe I'm that.
so maybe
Which is probably the first time I've ever done that, because you asked me the question, I go, oh, I'm that.
yeah, you
And it
just
happens.
you just do that. It's which
Yeah.
to your point is that's where I'm at, is at a 0. But then on this topic, it's like, I'm just gonna go for a 2.5. Let's do that.
Okay. Okay, so she's a 0 in person, but she's a 2.5 on the topic. And so I'm actually going to say a 0, and I'm going to say I'm a 3 on the topic, because since we talked about, we literally not even 10 minutes ago, we said about the topic, and my mind has gone into a lot of that. And so I'm like, oh, you're in a bit of a pickle thinking about things. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No. So I've gone from a 0 in Zen, but on the topic, I've definitely gone to a 3, maybe a 2, maybe a 4. Yeah, 3.
Boink, 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 boink.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
it's this,
the one.
maybe it's this, maybe it's this. Oh my
Yeah.
God, what if I get it wrong?
Oh yeah. And what's Moira going to say? What's hers?
Debz
And what
gonna
if
think?
people?
What are the
And what if
listeners
people
gonna
judge
think?
me? Yeah. If I say I'm a 3, that's not good. That's not good.
No, they won't
Good. That's
listen.
really
They'll say, what
bad.
on earth is
Yeah.
this all about?
So clearly people, well, apart from the fact you already know our topic title, this is a goodie. Are you an overthinker? And I'm just going to say, before you even say no, I'm going to call you BS on that. That belief system.
That's
So
belief system,
Moira,
yep.
yeah, are you an overthinker? And oh my God, I don't want to talk about it. What do you want to talk about? What are you going to say? They're going to like you more than me today?
Well, maybe. Oh no, they would never like me more than you. Surely, maybe.
Well, they might. Oh my
Right.
God. And this is how easy your mind can go.
Absolutely.
Even just the word overthinker, even just reading that word, I'm sure people went, oh, and their mind ran with it. And that's
Yeah.
how quick shite can happen.
Yeah. Shite
Can
happen.
take you. Yeah.
No, and it even people, and like you just said, even people that would say, "Oh, I'm not an overthinker." Like, really?
Yeah. I would like to think I'm the most perfect person in the world. And I'd like to think I don't overthink. I like to make decisions, move on. Everyone's happy in their bubble. I'm happy in my bubble. La-di-da-di-da.
With all my sparkles in my snow globe.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Well, no.
Not really. But do you know something, Deb? I have been tapping into this because, to be honest with you, I like to think of myself as a recovering overthinker. Because I realize, like, I know that I actually for sure have a propensity to overthink and get lost in spiraling chit chat. But I've been really working. I mean, my whole thing is that, you know this, Deb, the whole put my hand on my heart and start to breathe. That's actually came out of me wanting to stay present and not get stuck in the spiral of the overthinking and the chit chat and the conversation. But something that I've been working with over probably the last year is developing this awareness that all of the thoughts that run through my experience or my mind are actually not my responsibility. What is my responsibility is the ones that I hold on to, or the ones that I bring down into my heart energy. So don't you think that gives the reason I'm saying that, and I'm sharing that with our listeners too, is I think that gives us a wee bit of freedom, because thinking happens all the time. We can't stop it.
Yes, and well, it does, and it's okay.
That's
I think
right.
I just want to say the word it's okay. And when it gets to that overthinking, I love that you put your hand on your heart and that just stops. It just stops everything, and then you can check in with what it is. But you must stop and acknowledge it.
Exactly.
Like, you can't run from anything. The truth
No.
is, my God, we all want to run from stuff, definitely. But you can't. So just stop and acknowledge, and then you can decide how to deal with it, like strategy then, or not. But you don't have to do it right. Like, so are you an overthinker? Clearly, I don't want to be, but yes, I am. But okay, you don't want to be, but in reality, you are. So that's just unrealistic, and also unrealistic to think that you're never going to overthink.
Right.
And what is overthinking? How long do you sit in the overthinking bubble for?
Well, that's a good point, though, because it's going to vary about your level
Per
of
scenario.
confidence. Yeah, the scenario you're sitting in, and how much confidence you have, how much motivation you have, how much you have a pattern to just say, to hell with it, I'm just going to go do it anyway. I'm just going to try it. And actually, the other big piece in here is trust. Because oftentimes when we are overthinking, it's because we don't trust ourselves to make the right choice or the right decision or say the right thing or go the right direction. Whereas if we can elevate our sense of self-trust, we may be able to just say, I don't need to go into that big spinning thinking scenario because I just need to do something, or, take an action step, one step.
Yeah, and I think I was just thinking about overthinking, just overthinking. Thinking about overthinking is your past. So you may have done something this time. So you may go and you create a story. Okay, I'm going to the supermarket. Oh, I always overspend. I always buy things not on my list and I overspend and I don't need it. And then then the story gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I have to throw out the food, and I don't like throwing out the food and wasting Right. Well, okay. So you've joined the hamster wheel of overthinking.
Absolutely. You're caught in a loop of it.
And it's going and going and going, and it gets faster and faster until you're completely wasted because you're going to have to fall off that hamster wheel because I don't know how they do it. But
it's exhausting.
So then you have to go, someone goes, oh, can you go to the supermarket on the way home? And you're like, oh my God. And you've just tapped into that old story and I'm going to say story, I'm not going to say pattern, that old story that, oh my God, I'm going to spend so just get that. And I'm like, oh no, but what if I get there and I'm really hungry and this is not the time to go shopping, and this whole mind. So even because you overspent, not overthought last time, because you overspent, you got things that weren't on your list, and then you had to throw the food out, and blah, 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 and that whole story gets bigger and bigger. It doesn't mean you're going to do it this time.
Exactly. That was then, this is now. Because
you've acknowledged and you've gone, oh, that was last time. This is me. Yeah. And so what if you want to buy one thing extra that's not on your list instead of 10 things? Like, it's okay. So know that scenario last time was last time.
Yeah.
And today is different. And be okay with that scenario last time, and be okay with whatever's happening today.
I love that whole description, because there's a big reminder in here to remember that you're the boss of you, the core essence, because you know something. And this is something that we can get caught into and lost in with that hamster wheel overthinking cycle.
Yeah.
Is we think we are those thoughts, but we're not. The truth of us is the one that's listening to it or witnessing it. So to your point, if you got into a scenario of, oh my God, I've got to go shopping and I always overspend, or I'm hungry, so I'm going to buy stuff that I shouldn't buy, and blah, blah, blah.
But as you say that, I can go, oh my God, there's been times I've done that. And there's been times other people have talked about it. And we're at a social event, someone goes, oh, I have to get some food on the way home. Oh, I shouldn't be doing it because I'm on a diet and I know I'm going to overspend and I'm really hungry, and you never go to the supermarket. And you hear people's stories and you're like, and then you attach that shite to you, and it just overthinking. Carry on, Moira.
Overthinking. That's overthinking. But here's the piece: is how can you do what I like to call a pattern interrupt, to just go press pause, put your hand over your heart, do something tactile, like rub your fingers together, tap on your collarbone, put your hand over your heart, something, clasp your hands together, take a deep breath, and that actually dials the volume down a little bit in order for you to go, oh, I don't like that channel. I'm going to change the channel now because I'm the boss of me, right? Not those thoughts, because those thoughts can actually derail you from what you really wanted to do.
Yeah, that just reminded me of a client I had once who had an elastic band around their wrist. And every time they had a negative thought, they would ping themselves.
Right. Yeah, I'm familiar with that exercise.
Look, I try not to debunk people's stuff, but seriously, I don't want to be pinging myself every time I have a negative thought. But if that's what it takes to ping yourself with that negative thought, then so be it. I mean, I'm sure there's other ways you can do it that isn't as painful but every time you look at that reminder on your elastic band, that's already cutting off your circulation of your wrist, in my mind. Every time you see that, you would start beating yourself up and going, oh, don't think a negative thought. Don't think it. Oh, there you go. You're just thinking negative again because you've just programmed yourself.
Beating yourself up. Yeah.
So be okay with your negative thoughts. Yeah. But I'd take that too tight elastic band off your wrist for a start. But that's it, because it can overthink and overthink and overthink and you can just go, and it is a hamster wheel. It just gets faster and faster and faster, and you're only going to fall off dizzier.
Good point. But do you know that something that I work with this in my own self, but I also really encourage my students and clients to doing this. And there's a lot of people that are really finding some peace of mind with this, is that when we start to realize that overthinking, that conversation in our mind, is a part of us that's trying to keep us safe. So there's a piece, like in your scenario or your example there about oh my God, I've got to go shopping and I'm going to overspend or buy things that I'm not supposed to buy, and I'm
hungry.
And I'm hungry as well as. That conceivably has come from a past pattern that says, I've got to keep you safe so that you don't spend too much money and you don't buy lots of stuff that's junk or buy stuff that you end up throwing away. So instead of trying to fight that, you could actually open a little dialogue with it and just say, I appreciate you trying to keep me safe. I am safe right now. I am consciously aware of the things that I need to buy. And like you said, if you did end up buying one or two things that were a wee bit over the top, so what?
It's acknowledging it. And I think that's the key, is acknowledge, accept that you've done it, and then move on. Like,
accept
that's our AA process. Yeah.
Yes. But accepting that it is, because as soon as we can accept, just go, right or wrong, good or bad, doesn't matter. I accept it. That takes away the shame and the blame and the judgment.
Yeah.
Right?
And you can, there's a lot of things to accept, there's a lot of processes to accept, but in the meantime, if you just go, okay, accept this is what's happened, or this is going to happen. This is it. Like, that's it. Because it's going to shut that shite down. It's like, that's it, done. The moment you've gone, okay, I accept it.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't.
Stops the argument. Yeah.
Even if your soul, even if your soul is saying no, you can just go, okay, I accept it. That's it. I surrender. It's done. Like, that's it. You've just shut it down. It's done, dealt with, move on. Then you can do all the lots of processes, and there's definitely a lot of processes that you can try.
Absolutely.
But that is enough sometimes, just to
Precisely. And I love that you said that. That's that whole thing about my letting go aspect that I talk about. It's that surrender, the letting go. Because when we do that, we rob that thing of its power. Now it's not keeping you stuck and looping around and around and around. Like, I'm a dreadful person. I can't make good choices. I can't trust me.
Yeah, there's something about, I actually just did a social media post. I can't even think what it was the other day, but it was something about actually just, you can shut down other people's drama by not giving it energy.
Oh, yeah.
It's done.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
Acknowledge, accept it, done.
Done.
And that drama is not your drama, it's their drama, but you actually don't even have to be involved in even the capital D of drama.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's about choice, always about choice, right? We get to choose what we give our energy to, what we take our energy out of, what kind of dialogue we have going on in our minds. Actually, this is a good time for us to be talking about this dialoguing in our minds, because we're actually in the Mercury retrograde still.
Oh, okay.
Mercury retrogrades create lots of thinking. It's lots of thinking energy comes from that kind of. Mercury is all about communication. The planet Mercury impacts our communication. So overthinking can actually be, like an inner dialogue. Like, and we were joking around about it when we were rating ourselves. We're like, oh, maybe it should be this, and maybe it should be that. And then what if that person thinks this? And then having this full-blown committee conversation in your mind. But it's all these different personas, right? All of these dialogues. I think that we're all multiple personalities.
Oh, I agree. I think you've got to have the giver, the taker, the mean person, the kind person. I think you have to.
Yeah.
And what did they say? Embrace
the critic, the motivator, the good girl.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
Yeah, embrace your dark and your embrace your shadow, your light and your shadow. I think it is. I don't know, but we've all got it. That's it.
We
it's
do.
Part of who we are.
And it is actually often said that where our power is in our shadow. Because it's by bringing our shadow into the wholeness of who we are, is that then we are telling the truth to ourselves and about ourselves.
Not hiding.
Absolutely. Not hiding. And actually then showing up in this world with the awesomeness that we are. Because every being on this planet has auspicious, unique, amazing gifts. We can't access them until we embrace our own shadow and light.
Yeah, I was just thinking then, as I do overthink, I was just thinking this is actually down to our intuition as well.
Very much so.
You talked about trust before, and this is trusting our intuition that we already know the answers, that we already know yes, no, maybe, or whatever maybe is, we already know that stuff. So are you an overthinker? The more we sit on that hamster wheel, the harder it is to get off.
Exactly.
And how long do you sit on there for? And your intuition's already told you. Your intuition's guiding you to the truth.
It is.
And it's already told you what it is. So it's that trust and that belief. And just because yesterday you made a decision on something doesn't mean you have to have the same decision today.
Precisely. But that means that you must work on staying present. Because by staying present, I'm not going to tell you the same story based upon what my experience of it was yesterday.
No.
And that's kind of what you're saying, is that just because it went that way, just because it was raining yesterday does not mean it's necessarily going to be raining today.
Yeah.
Or it might, right? But you can't say it's a done deal. It's a foregone conclusion because this is how it was.
Yeah, that's just sort of a new title of the podcast, so I'll just put that one aside as I just go overthinking as I'm listening to you. See, that's not overthinking what I just did. I just saw that as a quick diversion of my brain. But you're right, and I think we do judge ourselves on thinking too much, or people don't think like us. Why can't they just make a goddamn decision? Why can't they just say yes or no? Why do we have to wait for them? Like, people are wired differently. We're all wired differently. we're all wired differently. And there's moments I will make a decision straight away without even thinking. And then there's moments I'll just go, I don't know if it feels right. Or moments I'll go, just let me ask somebody else, But either decision, fast, checking in with someone else or not, is okay for you right here, right now, because that is your intuition alerting you to, you need to check in with someone else or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about that trust, that intuition, that belief that that you've got the right one going on, whatever it is.
Absolutely. And it's a really good point too. I love what you just said about how you make a decision. How you decide something is likely to be very different to how I do it. So there's a two-part thing in here. One is to get clear on how do you make your decisions. But the other one is to not compare yourself to other people and not judge people because they don't make their decisions.
Judge people. Just go with that one.
That's it. Full stop.
Yeah.
No, but and this is actually a funny story, true story between me and myself and my husband. Until I really got into this mindset, I would get so irritated. Like I would make a decision. Somebody asked me a question, choose this or this, and I'd go this. Off we go. But then for him, it would be like he had to think on it and stew on it. And
I know that one.
A couple of days later is like, you mean you still haven't decided yet? But then I came to realize that is how we are. How we are wired is that my decisions are always based on my intuition, which means I don't make choices in advance. I don't make them in advance, and I don't question because they're right here, right now. I know exactly what it is to do. Whereas he, and like you're saying, there's people who they're more head-centered, where they have to ask other people's opinions and then sit on it or sleep on it. And that's for my husband. He has to feel through it, and he cannot make a decision in the present moment. And it's just by knowing that and honoring it, it creates so much harmony around us when we just
It's the thing. Okay. It's actually just going, you have a decision process. And if they change their decision, just when you start to figure out what their decision process is, and then they change it, it's still okay.
It's still okay, absolutely.
But know that they may just change it back.
They might.
Like so, and if they change it back, that's okay too.
Absolutely.
But it is, and you say things to people, and it's like when I used to work for the council in New Zealand, and you'd ask the team leaders, and you'd say this, and this, and then there'd always be one, and that person would take ages right up till the 1 minute before deadline. And then they'd ask a question and you'd be like, are you freaking serious? Why have you waited so long? Now we have to delay everything to come back and answer your question and da-da-da. And then they have to take that extra time. And it's just like, oh, come on. But recognizing that person. Mm-hmm. So we would send out the survey to the team leaders, mm-hmm. and then I would go down and I would sit with that person and I would help unpack the question we've asked. What's coming up for you? What do you feel? Is there anything without, the hardest part was without putting pressure on.
Right.
Deborah's pressure. And I'd say, is there anything you could feel? How about I come back tomorrow? Is that okay if I come back tomorrow and you can think about, and we can still talk about this, and we can. So by the time it came to the deadline, we actually had unpacked it, but I found it very, 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 well, time consuming and the rest of it, very hard to not go, oh, for God's sake, can you just do like everyone else and answer the question? Is what I'd want to say. And I would have to just sit and listen, which is was a really hard thing for me to do then, because I'm like, can't you just answer the question like everyone else? But it was my job to go, and I learned empathy, and I learned how to listen to people and go, God, you really don't know about this, and you have to ask other people. I didn't think, like, I just thought everybody thought like me, like, oh, there you go, make a decision, done, move on, let's get it off your chest and move on. And I could never understand, but his, I've already said now it's a he, his whole process of decision making was check in with everybody, ask everybody. And I'm like, don't ask anyone, you're the boss, for God's sake. Right. but he wanted to check in on everyone and are you okay with that? And can you have any? And then he would compile those questions. So it was really quite a big thing to ask him of surveys. And so I would say to my boss, do we need to ask him? Can't we just ask everyone else and just leave it out? Like, we'll get a decent answer. And she was like, no, he's part of the team. Like, really? Do we need to, like, because I would be like, oh, come on, let's just cut him out and we'd have a decision. We'd all be like, no. And he was a very different to the others who would just go, decision done.
Right.
But I learned a lot about him, and I learned a lot about heart. He had a heart, not saying the others didn't, but he had a heart to go check in with those people it would impact and go,
That's
are you
lovely.
okay with this? Yeah, very different to me. I just like, just make the decision. You're the boss, make the decision, done, move on. But
Right.
no,
Right.
until we found a solution for him so that by the time we had our deadline, I mean, I always said, let's give him a different deadline to everybody else. And she was like, no, Deborah, that's not how we work. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? And she's like, no. I was like, nah. So I learned I had to work out how I could personally work with him to get an answer to my boss for that time. And that was what I do.
And that's a great example, because that is even if it feels foreign or alien to you, is to be able to say that's how they do it. That's their process. The thing that I was going to share is that, and I don't say it very much anymore, but in my 20s and 30s, I used to talk a lot about, well, why can't they think like that or see that? Because it's just common sense. It's common sense. I used to always say it. But you know what?
Why can't they join in my bubble? Like, my bubble's perfect.
That's
What
common sense. I thought that was just so. Turns out that people don't think like me either. And I think that's the part of growing and evolving, is that we do see everything. What's that quote that says, we don't see things or people as they are, we see them as we are?
Oh,
and
wow.
Isn't that exactly what we're just talking about? Is that
That's
exactly it. That's how come you would feel so irritated about this. What do you mean I have to ask everybody and sit and wait for all that, right? Just decide.
Well, yeah, just make the flipping decision. We can move it. And I was just thinking then, as you started talking, are you an overthinker? Was the 4 or 5 love languages?
5 love languages.
5, it's like 4 or 5. But that's another way as well. Well, why didn't they give me a gift? I give them gifts all the time. Why aren't they touching me?
Yeah.
Why are they not? And that's another one. There is that whole understanding who they are, and everybody's different, but also understanding that they can change in an hour, or they can change 10 minutes later, or they can change 2 days later, and then they can change back. So don't think you've got that whole thing. But that's another one, is the love languages. Why don't they give me gifts? I give them gifts all the time, or I do things for them all the time. And you go into that hamster wheel and you spiral really darn quickly.
Absolutely. And it's because not being able to just accept and acknowledge that. Talking about the love languages is an excellent example, because for some people, they might be saying words of love, I love you. But then they might be partnered with somebody who needs to be hugged.
Yeah.
But so the two need to acknowledge and see that's how the partner needs it. That's how I need it. And then it's about looking at where can we meet? Where can we meet so as that I'm honoring that way, but also being honored for what it is I need. And not taking it into, like you were saying, of like, well, why didn't they do that way? They mustn't love me then.
But then you get into and it's the hamster wheel, massive, it can just spiral you freaking down a dark hole as quick as possible.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to. Yeah.
No, it is that overthinking is really a little nudge for you to stop and just check in with yourself. Is the scenario I'm creating, or is the story I'm telling myself, is it the truth? Is it what's really going on right now? Yeah.
And but that just stop, hand on the heart. Like you gave me that gift, I don't know, when we first met, and actually after we met, and I just remember thinking, this is just such a simple thing.
Yeah.
and breathe. Just
Yeah.
hand on your heart and just slow everything down just for a moment, no matter what's going on in your world, and that just shuts your mind down. It shuts your breathing down. And so the overthinking just goes to think, and then that's it. Then it just settles down. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Just stop. And, people say, just take 3 deep breaths as soon as, just taking that whole, and as soon as you take that first deep breath in, everything's just started to settle already.
Exactly.
Or you say to people, write it down, and they're like, oh, that's a good idea. Just to change that energy, change that state, just to, okay. Yeah. And it isn't an overthinker. It's just a think. It's just, okay, this is where I'm at.
Exactly. And I think the part of our conversation before we were recording today, we were talking about having a reaction to something that somebody said. So let's say we were feeling really irritated or upset about something. That can create a lot of overthinking. I was like, it shouldn't have been that, and they shouldn't have said this, and this is terrible. but so therefore, you're totally into a hamster wheel. So sometimes what's really good is to sit and draft out a response.
Yeah.
And what that can do is just, it's actually discharging all of that hamster wheel thinking stuff, and then go walk away. Then go walk away.
Take away
press send.
Take away the email address.
Yes, exactly. Don't press send. Yeah, just walk away, because then, like you're saying, it's just think, lots lower volume and discharging. Yeah. And then then you can come back to it and say, read it over and say, is it really important to maybe edit it, or just delete it now?
Well, quite often you'll type something, and then, by the time you go away and you go do exercise or have a cuppa or give your children a hug or scream and yell or whatever, sit on the toilet outside. And cry, or anything. And then when you come back, you read it and you go, geez, I was really peeved. God, I'm not going to say, and laugh at it. Like, God, I must have been so peeved to type all that. It's like, this is so not going to help me. It's not going to help them. Okay, let me edit it and come back. And
exactly.
And that's just part of that hamster wheel of just stop and breathe.
Yeah.
Just stop and, don't get so dizzy, don't get so wobbly, and just ground yourself. And then, okay, now I'm ready to go back to it. And now I'm ready to handle it, or now I'm ready to whatever. Because we all know that cobra comes up in me. It comes up and it bites, and then it goes back down. And then you're like, uh-oh, probably shouldn't have said that. But the truth is, it's out. Now you got to deal with it. Like, acknowledge it and accept it.
So that's the thing, is that the whole idea of writing things out like that was to actually allow you to discharge that emotion, but then reevaluate. And a lot of times it's like, no, I'm good. I discharge that. It's not to ever shame yourself for having felt that anger. It's like, no, I felt it. Good.
Yeah.
Now I'm letting it go.
Yeah. And and that person definitely energetically already knows that you're peeved, because they can feel it. But it's it's acknowledge, accept it. Acknowledge, accept it. Okay, now we'll deal with it. Now I'll go into what's the best way forward. Because if you're saying things and they're not uplifting people, and they're not inspiring, and they're not helping people in any form, and you can cut somebody down, and it can help them, but there's a different level of how to do it.
There's a fine line here. Absolutely. You need to come from a very centered position on that.
Not entitled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And then they will feel that, like that, not like the bow and arrow. But look, there's a lot of value to overthinking, but there's also a lot of value just to have a quick stretch to stop. What's really going on? Come on.
Let's lift the hood and see what's really happening here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, my dear Deb, this has been a great conversation. I think we may need to dance back into the talking about more. We'll talk more about this one, because this is a good. This is a goodie.
Even though we've got 100 podcast titles already.
I know we do. We do. Truth.
Actually, I think we've got more than that. But yeah, we had a little overthinking moment last week.
That's right. But we discharged it all and wrote it all down, so it's all good. We're good.
Yeah.
So let's check in. Dear listeners, did this change your number that you were at the beginning? Did you feel some shift in your emotion or your mental energies? And where would you put yourself at, Deb? I think you said you were a 3.
I said 0 or a 3, but I'm actually going to go back to a 0 because even thinking about the moments where I've overthought, I feel neutral with them, like moments where I've overthought. And when you've said things, I've planted that into my mind and I still feel neutral with it. So I'm going to go for a 0 all around on the title and who I am as a person.
I am too, actually. I feel really, and you know, a lot of it is about just claiming it. Yeah, I overthink, but I can still be at peace with that. I'm not overthinking right now, and I'm not thinking you're going to judge me or criticize me, or maybe I got it wrong.
But I will say, if you would like us to extend this overthinking, if people would like us to extend this podcast, then please let us know, and we can bang another 2, because there's clearly a lot of stuff about overthinking we can do.
Well, yeah, let us know if there's specific areas that trigger a propensity to overthink, because we kind of touched on this and danced around lots of different areas, but let us know if there's a specific area that you need some support in to release overthinking.
And we're passing it back to them to overthink about it.
That's right.
Just yes, no, maybe, or if you want to sit on it for a month, then let us know. But
Absolutely. It's all good.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear Deb. Thank you, listeners. We look forward to hanging out with you again real soon. Thanks,
Perfect.
Deb.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.